Myself Padmaja, Associate Professor, Department of CAC, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Today we are going to discuss about file input-output functions in C language. Now, first let us see what are the file IO functions. So, I have given a list of functions over here which are popularly used, but apart from this, still many more functions are there. So, all these file handling functions are available in the header file. Standard, your hash include stdio.h, that is standard input output header file. Now, let us discuss one by one. First function is called fopen function. This function will create a new file or open one existing file. Then the second function is called fclose function. This function will close one existing file or close one opened file. Then the third function is called fgetc and fputc. These two functions are used for reading a character from the file or writing a character to the file. So, similarly, fscanf and fprintf, these two functions are used to read a set of data from the file or to write a set of data to the file. So, these two functions are popularly used. Then getw and putw, these two functions are used for reading an integer from a file or writing an integer to the file. Then the next set of function is fgets and fputs. So, this is used for reading a string from the file and writing a string to the file. Next, three different functions like fseek, ftel and rewind. These three functions are popularly used for your restructuring or setting the pointer in the desired location. Fseek is used for set the pointer in the desired location, and ftel will always give you the current location of the file pointer, and rewind function will set the file pointer again to the beginning of the file. And the next function is called error checking function, that is called fuf, that is called file end of the file. It will check if you will give the file pointer, it will check whether file pointer has reached to the end of the file or not. So, let us discuss this function one by one with example. So, let us start with first fopen function. Now, this function is used to create a new file or open one existing file. So, this particular function takes two arguments. One is called the file name and the second argument is called the mode in which it has to be opened. Now, when the file gets opened, it returns a file pointer. So, whenever a file gets opened, it returns a file pointer containing the address of the file. This file pointer contains the address of the file. So, here fp is the file pointer. So, file is a built-in structure in C language. So, which the file pointer will hold the reference or address of the starting address of the file which has been opened in memory, and file name is nothing but the name of the file which you have opened, and mode specifies that in which mode the file has opened, whether it is read mode, write mode or append mode. Next function is called how to close a file. To close a file, fclose function is used which will close an already opened file. This function will take a file pointer and it will close that file. So, when this close that file on return, it will return 0 on success. This function returns 0 on success. Otherwise, end of the file UF if there is any error in closing the file. So, UF is nothing but a constant that is defined in the header file stdio.h. So, on success, it will return 0. Now, the next set of functions is called fgetc and fputc, which are used for reading a character or writing a character to or from the file. Now, let us see the syntax of fgetc. So, int fgetc and it will take a file pointer. So, it will read a character from the file, and this function will be that if you provide the address of the file in terms of the file pointer, it reads a character one at a time from that file, and the return value is nothing but that how many characters it has read. So, it has read only one character. In case if there is any error in reading from the file, then it returns the UF, that is which is a constant which is defined in stdio.h header file. So, similarly, fputc function will write a character to the file. So, for writing a character, we provide the character followed by the file pointer. So, this function writes a character value to the argument C and outputs that character which is referenced in the file. That means if you want to write a character to the standard output device, then you have to write here std out here. And the character which you want to write, you have to provide that character. Okay. So on success, it will write the character to the file. Otherwise, it returns end of the file when there is any error. Now, let us understand one program by using fgetc and fputc function. Now, first of all, let us open a file in read mode. So, file.txt is an existing file, and this file we are going to open it in read mode. Suppose this file contains 2 lines of text. One is called Welcome to IRE and Best College in Telangana. These are the 2 lines of text which is available in file.txt. So, whenever it is opening, so the file pointer always contains the valid address of the file. Now, after opening the file, so first read the contents of the file character by character until you reach to the end of the file. So, EOF is a macro constant here. So, SC is nothing but a character which will be stored, which is written by the fgetc function. So, it will return a character from the file. So, and that character is now displayed, or it is your written to the standard output. So, std out is nothing but the file name for the standard output device. So, it will read, it is inside the while loop. So, it will read character by character and display it on the screen. This process will be continuously done until it reaches to the end of the file. So, this is the example of fgetc and fputc. Now, the next set of function is fgetS and fputS. So, fgetS and fputS, fgetS will read a string from the file and fputS will write a string to the file. So, this function takes your, fgetS takes your from where you want to read and how many characters you want to read and the file pointer. Okay. So, it reads up to n-1 characters from the input stream referenced by your FP, and it copies the read string into the buffer, okay, and by appending a null character to the end of the string. And then similarly, the fputS function will take the data which is there in the buffer and it will write it to the file. So, it writes the string S to the output stream referenced by your FP. This returns a non-negative value on success, and otherwise the EOF is written in case of any error. Now, let us see the example. Suppose we want to take the same file which is there at file.txt. So, we are opening that file in read mode. Now, after opening the file, we are checking the file pointer is equal to null. If file pointer is not equal to null, that means the file has been opened successfully. Now, after opening the file, what we want to do? We want to read the data from the file using fgetS function. So, we are writing in the while loop because the process has to be continuous. So, fgetS, so read from the file, okay, str, and how many characters you want to read? Suppose I want to read 79 characters or 80 characters, including null character, it is 80 characters. So, that will be stored into the buffer str, and from where I want to read from this file. So, it will read the string at a time, and it will store into the buffer str. Okay. So, the data which is there in str, fputS function will write the data to the standard output device. So, it will read, and it will read from the file string by string, or it is one time, every time a string is read and it is written to the standard output device. Instead of a single character, here a group of characters are read, that is called a string here. Okay. So, this 80 is nothing but the length of the string. So, length of the string is always including the null character. Okay. So, then the output is like this. Welcome to IRE, Best College in Telangana. Then the next set of function is fscanf and fprintf. These two functions are used to read formatted data from the file or to write formatted data to the file. So, fscanf takes the file pointer from where you want to read the file, and it takes the format, a list of variables which you want to read in proper formatting. For example, here I want to read the age of a person. So, from a file, so fp is the file pointer, then followed by formatted. That age is what type of variable? It's an integer. So, you have to write the formatted string as %d followed by the name of the variable, that is &age. So, it is going to read the age value from the file. Okay. Similarly, if you want to display any your formatted data into the file, then you have to use fprintf. Fprintf will take that to which file you want to write. So that is the address of the file is given in fp, and then your formatted string. So here suppose two variables I want to write. So first one is string type and the second one is integer type. So I have to write, I want to display or write to the file. So to which file? To the address of the file is given. Then one is string type of data, one another is integer type of data. So variable 1 and variable 2 are the names of the variables. So variable 1 is a string variable, whereas variable 2 is an integer variable. Now let us see one example. For example, suppose you have a file.txt which is opened in read mode. Now after opening the file, suppose the file contains this much of data, that is it contains your roll number. Suppose it contains your roll number, then your name of the student, and then the marks of the student in different subjects. For example, marks, it contains 3 attribute, it contains with its values. Now using fscanf, we want to read this data and display it on the screen. So from the file.txt, we are going to read here line by line. So fp. So what are the different types of data we want to read? One is integer type. First one is your roll number is integer. The name is string type of data. And the third one is marks is your float type of data. And the variable names are ampersand roll, ampersand name, and ampersand your name, row, ampersand name, ampersand roll, name, and ampersand marks. So you are reading these 3 types of values until you reach to the end of the file. So after reading one row, then you are displaying to the standard output device stdio, and then what is the format? The same formatting you have to use. So %d, %s, and %f, and name of the variables are roll, name, and marks. So in this way, it is inside a while loop. So continuously it is going to read one by one record from the file and display it to the output screen. So this is the example for fscanf and fprintf. Now the next set of function is called getW and putW. So this function, getW function, is used to return an integer value from the file which is associated with the file pointer, whereas fputW is writing an integer to the integer value to the file pointed by fp. Okay. Now whenever it returns the integer, on success it will return the integer, on error it will return this EOF value. Okay. So both the functions, on success they will return the integer, and otherwise the end of the file as the error. So coming to the syntax, int putW, the value, and the value which you want to put, the integer value which you want to write to the file. So you are giving the address of the file. In getW, the integer which you want to read from the file, so only file address is enough. So let us see one example. For example, integer I is equal to 1, j is equal to 2, and k is equal to 3, and there is a number. Suppose we want to read from the file. So open the file. We want to write to the file. Open the file in write mode first. Okay. So using putW function, we are going to write these integers to the file. So putW I comma fp. So I is 1. 1 is written to the file. Then j comma fp putW. Then 2 is written. Then putW k comma fp. So 3 is written. So the 3 integers are written to the file now. Okay. Now we are closing the file. After writing 3 values or 3 integer, we are now closing the file. Now again open that file in read mode and let us read these values. Okay. So after opening the file in read mode again, so using getW, let us read those integers. So getW of fp till it reaches to the end of the file. So until it reaches to the end of the file, then 1111 number you get it from the file and store it into the num variable, and then display the num variable. So the output will be 1, 2, and then 3. So 3 integers we have written using putW method, and 3 integers we have read using the getW method. Then after that we are closing our file. So this is the example of getW and putW. Thank you so much. In this video we have learned about what are the different file handling functions or file input output functions with example. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.